Yeah, so there is a mentality now among creators who have been in the biz for a while, and actually this has been out. This line of thinking has been out for more than a decade. There's an article written a decade ago by the Wired editor, a man named Kevin Kelly, and he came up with this concept, and he wrote an essay on 1,000 true fans. And he predicted that the internet would go this route where most people would be making money off less people. It would be getting more and more niche, and people would be making more and more money per user. It turned out to be right, particularly in the creator space. I thought this was really interesting because I have actually not run into this mentality before until I really started working a lot more directly with very large YouTubers. They think and believe this. In fact, they're saying that it's going even further than this, and this article is illustrating that. And what the concept really is it's taking this idea of like you have to massive success is millions of followers, legions of fans, and that is clearly becoming not the case. It's actually a smaller amount of really hardcore true fans. If you guys are gamers, you know the gaming industry has done this too. They've found this in their data. They get a majority of their revenue, almost 80% of their subscription and microtransaction revenue from whales or users who just have endless amounts of money that they just toss into the game. So more and more internet models of monetization are gravitating towards less users with more money and users who are more fanatical, or maybe that's a poor word, but more devoted to whatever the creator is or whatever that product is, and they will issue money out time and time again because they are getting a lot of value in return. What's your take? Have you heard of this before, Ross? Is this new to you?
This is pretty new to me. I mean, there's always been ways, as we've seen with AWOL and even what we're doing here with the digital drop, where you can really capitalize and utilize a small audience to make, a decent amount of profit without, having to bring on sponsors and stuff like that. It's more about, as we've hit on before, in literally every aspect, it's more about just gaining the trust of your audience. And the model I'm looking at here, it's a pyramid, not a pyramid scheme. It's just a pyramid model. It's called the 100 True Fans model. And I want to get your opinion on this. At the bottom, the biggest chunk is the free audience. So let's say you have 1,000 subscribers, your free audience is obviously going to be the majority of that. In the middle, you have donors and patrons. So yeah, those are the people that are going to send you, a $5 tip, $1 here and there because they appreciate what you're doing. And by the way, none of these should be overlooked. I don't think there is a hierarchy here, but the top part of the triangle is actually subscribers and high value purchasers. Now, what does that necessarily mean, Perrin?
So it's all about how you're activating your followers and your fan base. So you've got your audience of just people who consume your content. And then you have that level of donors and patrons. Obviously, patrons verbiage coming from Patreon. And I think Patreon is the platform that's really activated this a lot and has pushed things in this direction. So from your donors and your patrons, you don't stop there. They are so heavily supporting you that you activate them for even higher value and for additional purchases. And what this leads to is a lot of a closer relationship with those particular fans, where to a degree they're so activated with with the values that you're providing that you are essentially acquiring a protege, or you're essentially providing them more like direct one-on-one personalized services, like personalized teaching and things like that. They have followed you to a point where they're becoming friends almost in their level of support and how close their relationship is starting to become. And they get a lot more like behind the scenes access and a lot more personal access from you as a creator. That is what we're seeing the shift to. And that's why this article is saying, 1,000 was small. You don't need 1,000 people to be successful. And it begins to go through and cite all these different cases where there was a lot less than 1,000, and it's working out really, really, really well. I wanted to find this one teacher example that I saw here, and I think I lost the highlight.
Yeah, that was good.
Of it.
While you're looking for that, I'll go over this real quick.
Okay.
and they break this down in the model. So they have this model. It's kind of separated in two different columns here. And we'll go over a lot of it a little bit later, I'm sure. But the two models are 1,000 fans in the left model, 100 true fans in the right model. Now, how do you make that switch to where you can make, like they said here, revenue per fan with the 100 true model, with the 100 true fan model? You can get $1,000 a year. This is, I think, more of an estimation at $83 a month. And then with 1,000 true fans, you can have $100 a year, like $833 a month. That doesn't necessarily make sense, but it actually all comes down. And this is not something that we can answer and show you how to do this. This is something where, you know, you're a creator, you're going to have to be creative and figure it out. But changing your mentality from, if you want to get, a few bucks here and there from Patreon, a few tips on Mixer, Twitch, whatever it may be, that mentality is more of a product or creation mentality. That it's what you're putting out there, it's what you're putting into your product. Now, on the other side, where people are making more money from a smaller amount of fans, the mentality starts with their needs and their pain points. Meaning, you have to kind of focus your content, change your content strategy a little bit to where it's not just an entertainment factor. It directly benefits the people who are watching your video.
I love this shift. And this is, I think, the bread and butter of the point that he makes in this article is it shifts from your donors and patrons and fans directly contributing to help the creator to them directly contributing to help themselves, which means that you actually you're getting to a point where you're providing a real service for these people, and they're getting real value in return. So they're not just paying to help you out because it's cool and they like you. They're supporting you and giving you money because they're getting something incredibly valuable in return that they can't get anywhere else. Here's an example. I found it. This is on Teachable, and it was an artist who teaches people how to sell their art. They made $110,000 in 1 year with only 76 students at an average of $1,437 per course. So when you start providing that level of kind of like close level of like mentoring and assistance like that, you don't need legions of fans. So let's like connect this now a little bit closer to, I know our audience is doing a lot of live streaming and YouTube in particular. You know, how are we looking? How does this translate there? Because I feel like a lot of us are still going at that with like, we're expecting to blow up and get big or whatever. We did an episode on that, where we're trying to get to like 1 million subs or something like that. That model is over a decade old. That line of thinking is over a decade old. So take the time right now to adjust it and update it, because that's not what you're going for. You're not going for 1 million subs on YouTube. That doesn't mean anything anymore. What you're going for is activating the most amount of true fans that you possibly can. Okay, so how do you do that? From what I found, and working with larger YouTubers and working with smaller YouTubers and doing this myself, you just engage everything. You start out by engaging everyone everywhere you possibly can. Anytime, think about it this way. You're doing a live stream and someone comes in and starts talking to you. You have to assume that every person who comes in and starts doing that could potentially turn out to be a true fan. Think about this, because they could be. So if that's the case, when they come in, you need to start providing them value right away. How do you do that with a live stream? You just start talking to them and actually care about them. Actually care about why they're there. Actually care about what they're interested in seeing in your live stream. Start providing that value right out the gate so you can activate as many true fans as you can. You know, my one client, it's my largest YouTuber client. He lives and dies by this, and mostly he lives and is very successful, but he wants to see every message that a user sends him, and he wants to make sure none of it goes unnoticed. Like, he prides himself on having this network, this map, and being able to see it all and being able to engage with everything. And like, no engagement is left unengaged, right? No comment is left unreplied to. And not only that, he does it in a genuine positive way where he has like a kill them with kindness kind of mentality. in a very good way. And this has led ultimately to his great success. And everyone feels like they get value just by him replying. That's how you start. That's how you start activating true fans. And you want to start looking at it this way. You're not in streaming to try to bump up those concurrent viewership to 5,000 because that's how you're going to make money. That's not how people are making money anymore. They're not making money that way. They're making money through true fans. They're making money by activating the users who like their content and find the most value to further and further tiers to provide more and more value. Is this starting to make sense? I like this because you no longer have to think about, I need to, like, eventually the end game is me getting really big. And that seems like a lofty goal sometimes. It's not. That's not the end game. That's not where you're going to make the most money. That's not where you're going to make much money at all, honestly speaking. You're going to make a lot more money if you're going down this route. And I can tell you right now, the creator space is changing this way. That old model where you got to have legions of fans, millions of subscribers, and be internet famous is not the model anymore. It's just, we've moved past that.
Yeah, and directly monetizing your videos is just getting more and more difficult to do. We've seen the articles this week about even Twitch, like live streams on Twitch are getting DMCA claims, which is copyright claims for music. If you have background music in on the radio or whatever, it can get claimed. I actually have a client who we posted a clip from his comedy album on Facebook, and it got claimed and taken down, even though he's the owner. It's his album. So we can't keep relying on just monetizing your videos through getting thousands and thousands of followers and thousands and thousands of people watching. But the next step is, like we kind of hit on earlier, and this is probably the most important part of it, is changing your mindset. Changing your mindset to lost my train of thought, but essentially you want to change your mindset to where your fans are going to be looking from you premium content and community that has no close substitutes. And by the way, this is their model on here, delivering tangible value and results, accountability, which is huge, access, recognition, and status. So again, I hit on trust again, but just because somebody hits that subscribe button, pounds that like button, whatever it may be, or watches your video, that does not mean they trust you. My God, you literally have to go out of your way, like you were just talking with your client, in order to get in this mindset where this model will actually work, where you can actually start earning more from your followers or from your subscribers or viewers or whatever it may be.
I like that you hit accountability. So when I first looked at this, I'm like, well, I want to know exactly what they're meaning by that. So let's spell that out. What they're talking about is the perceived value that a fan or a true fan thinks they're going to be getting from you, that you have to deliver on that. That value has to actually be real, and you have to be transparent about what that value is going to be and how you're delivering it, right? And the more you have that transparency, and the more that you've accurately delivered on your value proposition, the more accountability, the more accurate your accountability is with this user. Like, they can trust you that this value is real, because they're investing a lot. You're activating these users to a point where they're investing a lot because they're getting a lot in return. So if they suddenly don't get a lot in return, you lose a true fan. And if you look at it, if you only have 100 true fans, that's a lot. That's actually quite a bit of damage. Also, that one true fan has been jaded. That's going to bleed out into some of your other true fans if you don't deliver appropriately in your value. So you have to be approaching this. This forces the creator to approach this from a standpoint where you can't be disingenuous. None of these snake oil salesmen, course selling people, gurus or whatever, that's not going to work. It doesn't work in this model anymore, right? When you're going in this creative route, you're going to be forced to actually do the work. Like, you're going to be forced to actually provide real value. So get used to that right now, because you're not going to get to these top levels without being able to do that, without being able to recognize what your fans actually value, how to deliver on it, and how to engage with them and communicate with them effectively in order to figure out what those values are. What are they finding to be the most valuable? How can you deliver on it? How do they want you to deliver on it, right? You need to be looking at those things. And that discussion, access, recognition, and status. So that's the last one, right? That's how you that's where Patreon really kind of comes in and shines, I think, too, is you get them paying up to different tiers, which normally would give them more access to you as a creator. And it gives them recognition in some form, because normally at those tiers, you as the creator are working directly with them in some capacity and publicly recognizing their name to the rest of your followers, right? And giving them status that elevates them potentially above the other fans, because they're just more loyal and more dedicated, and they're more supportive, and you to a point where you need them, and they really need you to some degree. That's why they're looking for this value add. So I like this model, and it's clear that it's going this way. I want to bring it back down home a little bit, because we're talking about how big YouTubers are looking at this, but I want to look at it from, and you don't see much out there on this. In fact, I haven't seen anything out on this at all, but how should we be looking at this from the beginning perspective? How should we be looking at this from the start? And the difference here is, you're looking at YouTube revenue, you're looking at Twitch revenue, and you're like, I'm going to make my living off that. And that's not the case. Look at every successful creator right now. Do you think they stopped at YouTube? No, they branched out. Patreon, selling merch, providing a number of other values on different platforms. Discord community is going to be crucial for that status element that we just talked about. Where do you get to display that status element in front of everybody else? Discord, to everybody else in the community, right? So all these other platforms that are different, they're not creator platforms necessarily. They're not more YouTubes. They're not more Twitches. They're not, another Mixer. They are insular, community-oriented platforms where you can show and provide value. Some other ones that are listed on here, Kajabi, which is a new one. I've just been exploring that one over the past month or so, and basically it allows you to sell courses online. It's like a marketing pipeline, emailer. It's like WordPress plus a course sales module plus MailChimp all combined in one to build a website off of. And it's such a powerful tool for a creator to be able to provide value in terms of, I'm going to put together professionalized courses and to teach what I know, how I did this thing, how I do this specific thing that I do. And since I'm obviously I'm successful at that, I'm going to teach you how to do it, and I'm going to activate that for people, for my biggest fans, where the ones who really want to follow my footsteps, I will personally teach them to do it. And then you go from there. Merch shops, right? Doing the whole thing through Facebook with your chat bots and everything like that. There are so many layers of branching out. If we're just in the beginning looking at this like, hey, I just want to get that YouTube revenue going, and I just want to get that Twitch revenue going, that's not end game. I mean, that's a good place to start, but you're looking at end game as branching out into far, far many more platforms.
Yeah, and going back to accountability for a second, one of the questions that I've got before is, how do you know your value? And the question is, you technically don't. So what my suggestion would be, say, if, let's just make an example. You're putting together a $500 course about something and you want to, kind of sell it to your subscribers. How do you ensure that they're getting $500 worth of really great content? And Perrin, I want to get your opinion on this, but the easiest way to ensure that is to give them $1,000 of free content in that $500 package.
Yeah. So the one thing I found, again, with working with larger YouTubers, and I can tell why they're successful right away, is because, when I'm working with them on some sort of initiative or whatever, and they are always like trying to add more value in before whatever it is, like we're trying to roll out let's say we're trying to do like a new Patreon tier or something, right? They're always trying to pack more value into that. Even like the day before we're going to like try to roll it out or something like that. That like the last 5 hours to 5 minutes, they're still figuring out ways in which, can I lump this in there just so it gives it like a little bit more value, right? So I think in order to test this, I think it's easier for some creators to know their value than others. For example, a musician, right? A musician is going to be clearer that you're providing, music as a product, right? And then maybe they can transition to maybe providing like, instruction as a service. Whereas if we're looking at gaming creators, I think that's a little bit more difficult to figure out what's your value. What are you just playing games on a screen for people, or what are you doing there that people are finding value, right? So for me, mine is when people come in, I particularly like to teach new people the game. Because my shtick is I normally become very knowledgeable about whatever game I'm playing because I love to just consume all the information. And then I love to guide other people through and help them figure out the best ways to learn the game. I like to teach people how to play the game, basically. And the other thing I like to do is I like to test the game. So I like to play alphas and betas, and I like to figure out how to break them. And then I'm providing a different set of value that other people can participate with me. I'm providing some value to the game developers that other players and other viewers who come in and play with me can help me with and can participate with me. So think about your value that way. I know for some it's going to be easier than others, but you have to figure out what that's going to be. And then if you're not sure whether or not you're providing enough value, that's where Patreon and Discord and your insular communities come into play. Let's say you want to do a new value add. Let's say you want to like roll out. You're thinking about rolling out merchandise, and you want to see if this is going to be valuable, if it's going to be a value add. Take your most hardcore, your truest fans, and test it with them. Ask them what they would want in this. Do you think t-shirts? You guys want t-shirts? If so, what do you think they should look like? Ask them. Because they're the ones who are going to want this stuff. They're your truest fans. So if you're not sure, run it by them. They are kind of going to be your litmus test. They're going to be your testers, so to speak, and they're going to give you the realest feedback on what's going to be valuable and what's not. You can't just assume that you know what's valuable to them. You need to be engaging with them, and you need to be talking directly with them on what is valuable and what is not.
Yeah, and it's an intimidating thought to sit here and think, oh my God, I've put all this time into this current strategy. I can't just all of a sudden change. And, you're probably right. You probably just can't all of a sudden change. This is more something to keep in the back of your mind moving forward. And by the way, we've kind of hit on courses and stuff like that, but there are so many other options. This is where you have to get creative on how you can get into this 100 true fan model. There are a lot of people out there that are doing, complete private live streams or actually bringing people on to game with them. If it's in like a squad, if you're doing multiplayer or something like that. The goal at the end is to, like we've been hitting on, and just to reiterate, in this 100 true fan model, make your fans, make them feel valued. Make them feel encouraged, make them feel motivated, make them excited. If you can hit on all of those different areas, on all those different emotional factors, then I don't think it necessarily matters what kind of extra products you're hitting on, because that is how when people think about how do I value myself, those are the 4 aspects that come to mind.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Some more things to add. I don't think. So this is, like I said, this is new. This is even kind of new to me. I've known this, but I've never really looked at it particularly and had it kind of change the way I've looked at being a creator as a whole. I don't think it changes how we start to some degree. I think it changes how we envision the mid game and the end game, but we still got to start by acquiring fans in general, right? So that part has not changed. You still need to figure out how to get your content out there in front of as many eyeballs as you can, so that you can find these true fans, so that you can begin to activate them. But so basically, don't overwhelm yourself. First, grapple and make sure you're good at getting eyeballs onto your content and keeping them there. And then when you find a system that or a strategy that you can do that with, then begin to think about, how can I activate these followers? How can I engage with them so much that I convert them to become a true fan? What are the strategies and things that I can do to begin to do that, right? Because you can start getting true fans right away. The first fan member that comes in and starts watching you, let's say you're streaming and you got 0 concurrence and now you've got one, that could be a true fan. You don't know. You don't know unless you've got a strategy that's going to at least give them a shot at being activated and consuming more value from you to be able to do those things. So try to think about it in that way. First, you need to conquer just getting your content out there and getting it in front of as many eyeballs as possible in a way in which you actually grow engagement, grow retention, grow concurrent viewership, right? From there, if you have a handle on that, you can begin to think about how can I activate? How can I convert? And then from there, begin to think about how can I then have a better direct line of communication with those fans who are more highly activated so that they can begin giving me feedback and letting me know what they're finding that's valuable. So I am guided on this journey, and I know that what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be sinking my time into is going to provide actual value to those people. Because the worst situation you want to be in is start activating these true fans, start getting people really passionate about your stuff, and then you put all this work into additional value and they don't even find it valuable. That's not going to help you at all. So you can avoid that entirely by just listening to them, engaging with them, and talking to them. So much of this strategy is just pure engagement, which is also why I like it. It's just pure actually talking to your audience, actually replying to their comments, actually giving a shit about what they say. That's just start there. And I think you'll see a lot of positive change just from that. Anything else to add here, Ross?
Well, the only thing I'm going to add, I'm just going to reiterate again, it all starts with just getting people to trust you, and not fake trust. I mean, like legitimately trust you. So the number one way you can do that is just ask yourself, what do I consider a trust value? What do other people do that makes me trust them? And then go and do that again. And also take time every day, like Andrew Perrin just said, take time every day to go and engage with everybody who engages with you on every single platform. And if nobody's engaging with you on every single platform, go seek out people, be proactive, and start engaging with them again. And develop relationships that way. Final thoughts, Perrin? Are you good?
I think we covered it. I think this is a good topic. I'm really interested to see what you guys thought of this one. If you've seen, I want to know, first of all, have you seen this line of thinking before? The 1,000 true fans model. And now, I mean, this is new. You probably haven't seen the 100 true fans model, but have you heard of the 1,000 true fans model? Have you seen it before? Did you know about it? I'm interested to know. So let us know in the comments, and I'll be engaging with this.
Perfect. Awesome. We're going to link the article in about 20 seconds here, but you can catch the full episode on YouTube. We upload all the replays since you can't really rewind or fast forward on Periscope. You can also find the audio version on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are available. Get out there, keep creating, but keep this in the back of your mind, because this is going to be important especially in the future, on whether or not you can actually go full time as a creator or not. Got to get creative. Have a good weekend.